Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to JAMPRO's Jamaica Rising webinar, where we'll be going through investment opportunities for the diaspora. I'm pleased to be a part of this webinar here today. And we just have a few ground rules that we want to go through throughout the course of the webinar. Now we have with us, well, let me go through the ground rules first. And also, before even that, I'd like to thank all the persons in the diaspora to which we have great appreciation for in Jamaica, you know, the support that you continue to give us. And we're glad to have you here as a part of our audience. The first ground rule is that a webinar is being recorded. All video and audio has been turned off for participants. If you have questions, please type in the question box below. Your questions will be answered by one of the panelists live or responded to in the box. For today, the agenda, I'm going to invite CG Oliver Mayer to do the welcome and opening remarks. Then we move on back to me doing investment and trade opportunities for the diaspora. My name is Gabriel Heron, Vice President of Marketing for JAMPRO. And then after we move over to Mr. Harold Davis, who is the Deputy CEO of Jamaica Business Development Corporation, where he will go through business opportunities and support for the medium-sized enterprises. We move into a short Q&A discussion where we will have a positive look at all the activities or initiatives that we would have highlighted. And then finally, a very short closing remarks by yours truly to close out the activities. At this point, I'd like to hand over to the illustrious our CG in Miami, Mr. CG Oliver Mayer. Over to you, Sir Mayer.
Thank you very much, Gabriel, and it's a pleasure to be here, and pleasure to be having yet another event with JAMPRO, another outreach. You know, it was just a month ago or a month and a half that we had a presentation from JAMPRO, and in hearing it, I said, well, this is the type of information we want to get out to the diaspora as quickly as possible. And this is a second such occasion. I've known Mr. Heron from our days in Hope Pastures, he was in shorts. I've also known presenter Harold Davis, but on stage, he's a great performer. So I look forward to hearing from him, and I met Melissa earlier. And I'll also introduce you again to Dr. Alan Cunningham. But you know, as I drink my tea, produced by my good friend Richard Harris and Chevot Teas, produced in Jamaica. And you know, if I may, Richard Harris, my good friend, you know, he had a challenge and he turned this challenge into an opportunity. He created a company that does farming and produces a range of teas, of which I'm enjoying one, and it's available in many supermarkets here in South Florida, including Bravo Supermarket. And it reminds me of a very important quote, which I'd like us to remember, that every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. And so as we face this pandemic, this world, this challenge with the virus, many of us, the temptation is to become depressed, to look at the negative side of things, but we say peace over panic and faith and looking forward to opportunities. And I want to say that though in Jamaica right now, we're facing some challenges. We have had some, before COVID, we were enjoying record tourist arrivals of 4.3 million. We had our debt to GDP coming down from 148% to 96%. And we were enjoying over 19 quarters of economic growth. We see where we have had some contraction of 18%. Our tourist numbers are down, but our remittances are up. In May, I'm seeing 16%. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, 16% in May and 41% in June. So big up to our Jamaicans in the diaspora for continuing to show your love and support for your homeland. And this is the type of optimism that we need to carry us forward to use this challenge as an opportunity to drive our economy to a next level. And that's why this partnership with JAMPRO is so important, to get the good news out or to share the opportunities. The last thing I will say before I introduce the next presenter is that recently I had a challenge with my phone line here in Florida with a major supplier, service supplier. And I picked up the phone and I called, ready to cuss off the person. I don't do much of that, by the way, you know, but this was an odd occasion. And when I heard the voice on the other line, I recognized a Jamaican voice. And immediately, a smile came to my face and all of my problems disappeared. And he solved the problem. He did it well from Montego Bay, Jamaica. And I mentioned that example because one of the industries that are doing well, which we'll hear more about, of course, is the BPO segment. And we've had over 20% growth over last 5 years, over 40,000 people employed in this sector. You'll hear more about that, but that's another growth area, and there are several. You'll hear about this evening, and I'm so excited to continue to work with JAMPRO. And I want to just, in closing, just remind everybody that notwithstanding, you know, the challenges with COVID, you know, as our Prime Minister said on several occasions, we have to balance lives with livelihoods. We have to learn to live with COVID. And in accordance with Jamaica's emphasis on economic diplomacy, we have been partnering with JAMPRO and engaging stakeholders all over the globe. We have to recover stronger, and we will. And in that regard, somebody I work very closely with up here in the Southern United States, you know, we're responsible for over 13 states, is Dr. Alan Cunningham. And just last night, you know, he launched the Jamaica Men of Florida, pulling together all the men in the Southern United States to work together to help our men, both here in the United States and in our homeland. I'm going to allow Dr. Cunningham to say a few words, hardworking diaspora representative or elected representative advisor to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I'm going to invite Dr. Cunningham just to say a few words.
Thank you very much, CG. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. And thanks to our excellent team of panelists, including the hardest working CG in the Southeast. Of course, there's only one, right? But nonetheless, a big thank you to JAMPRO for creating and facilitating this needed informative discussions, especially during these difficult COVID-19 environment. I am certain that this information will provide the investment engine that is so needed here in the Southeast diaspora and globally. As you know, in order to achieve economic empowerment, we need to ensure the full participation of the diaspora. Collective wealth is paramount regardless of which side of the border we are. And therefore, we are happy to be included in the direction and outcome of this investment infrastructure. Please be reminded that the diaspora stands ready and our participation will be pivoted by our collaboration, cooperation, and communication attributes. It is certainly our hope that the information shared tonight will be accessible and available to all our diaspora stakeholders. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I am excited to be here, and I certainly look forward to a very robust and fruitful discussion. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cunningham and CG Mayor. Well said. I couldn't have said it any better. And I'll move into my presentation now. And I want us to understand the context with which we are engaging this opportunity. We want to highlight the opportunities that are available as we look forward to rise with the tide or create a groundswell of investments from the diaspora, generating business partnerships that will carry Jamaica through the recovery period. So that's the mindset, that's the context I want us to approach this in. The objectives of this presentation is really to inform the diaspora members on Jamaica's involvement, Jamaica's investment and export climate, to encourage business partnerships between diaspora and persons residing in Jamaica. So we want to establish that linkages. So there's that familiarity, you know, because you want to be able to have your business running and the investments as well. So in addition to that, for here, we want to highlight opportunities to drive those investments and export for the diaspora. So my expectation is after the end of this webinar, you would have seen something that would have piqued your interest or reignited your interest to do investments in Jamaica or to start exporting, trading with Jamaica into your region in the USA. So without further ado, the journey I'll take you through. I'll go through quickly what JAMPRO does, because surprisingly many persons don't necessarily have a good understanding of what it is that JAMPRO does. So I thought I would take at least 3 minutes and a few slides to give an overview of that. And that will be fast-paced, so you have to stay with me. Another fast-paced overview will be looking at Jamaica and the focused sectors, right, or the sectors of focus that we're looking at. Thereafter, we'll go through the opportunities, which is what the main focus is here today, and I'll, of course, slow down at that point. What I'll encourage you to do is, once this is finished, you can always take your own time and go through the recording if you so need to review the necessary information. And also, the information, you can always contact us for additional information after the webinar. So I'll move on. So what is JAMPRO? JAMPRO is the agency of the government that promotes business opportunities in export and investment to the local and international private sector. So these investments, we're talking about project type investments. We're talking about large, medium-sized, infrastructure type investments, right? So what we do, we promote and we serve. We promote the investments that are available locally, and we also promote export and trade. A major mandate and activity that JAMPRO does is business activity, business advocacy, which a lot of persons are not necessarily aware of. And I'll get to that further. In terms of our investment services, we do business matchmaking and meetings, which is important. We do specialized marketing, info and research, and we do site selection facilitation. For the investor overseas, that is quite critical for the information for them to facilitate the investment, all right? Well, export services, locally we do exporter registration for every business entity that wants to export. So we're a central point where that is concerned. We also do business matching and meetings, which is critical if you want to export and find distributors and retailers overseas. And of course, market penetration support, right? So on our business advocacy and business environmental reform side, we facilitate. We do that to facilitate an increase in business opportunities to ensure that there's an ease of doing business and Jamaica is a competitive investment destination. How do we do this? Private and public sector consultations in terms of what we develop. We also play a role along with the MDAs, the ministries, departments, and agencies to drive those strategies and policies. So some examples. We did the national outsourcing strategy. Remember, this is consultations, it's collaboration with MDAs and other ministries as well. It's not just JAMPRO, but we're a major part of it. The national investment policy, the nation brand initiative, which is ongoing now, the 5-year national agribusiness strategy, 5-year manufacturing growth strategy, which has just been presented, and the global digital strategy, which is around the outsourcing sector and upskilling the outsourcing sector. So we move on. We all know about Jamaica, so I won't belabor the obvious here, right? Jamaica, the land we love, and we will continue to love. So pre-COVID, what was Jamaica like? Debt to GDP ratio was down 96% from a high of 140. We're doing business report. We had improved our position to 71 from 75. We were the #1 performing stock market globally in 2015 and 2018. Inflation was as low as 3.4%. Unemployment rate was at the all-time historic low at 7.8%. And starting a business, we were ranked 6th globally. Sounds very good. Trajectory looked really wonderful, right? So I'm going to walk you through some quick facts about Jamaica that sometimes we take it for granted, but I wanted to think about it in the context of investment, because again, I have to engage the diaspora as true investors. So I have to present the package of what Jamaica is as an investment destination. So we have strong air connectivity. 400 international flights weekly from 40 airlines, right? So Jamaica is within a 4-hour flight radius of over 500 million of the world's population. So that speaks to the consumer base that you can access, particularly in a digitized environment. So you're seeing the potential where that is concerned. In addition, we have strong sea connectivity. Jamaica has the #1 transshipment port in the region, and now home of the 7th largest natural harbor in the world, the Kingston Harbor, right? Quick facts about Jamaica: open and transparent investment regime, stable and supportive democratic government, educated and trained workforce. All of these areas you all are aware of, but it's important from an investment perspective, from a business perspective. These are all lined up so you understand the opportunities. Largest English-speaking country in the Caribbean, robust telecommunications and infrastructure with built-in redundancy. And we also have a strong road infrastructure across the island. As you would have come to Jamaica recently, you would have seen the new highways, North-South Highway, and so you get to St. Anne's in roughly 40 minutes from Kingston. And as you know, the Southeast Highway has been established for quite some time now. 19 to 20 consecutive quarters of economic growth since 2013. This is pre-COVID, of course, and no restrictions on repatriation of profit. So some achievements: as I said, inflation has been down. Our credit rating has been improving over the last 5 years. So this is all pre-COVID. So it's setting the context. So going into the COVID period now, between January and March, what happened? What actually concurred? What actually resulted? So I'll highlight 3 areas: mining and quarrying, which actually happened from before, but it started to decrease, a decrease of 37%. So it's impacting the economy. Tourism declined by 13.9%. I was at the initial stages. However, agriculture grew by all of 7.8%. And of course, this is year on year over the previous period, right? Had challenges with unemployment as well. The real GDP declined, goods and services production fell. Real GDP decreased by 1.7%, right? Performance April to June, we had a decrease in goods produced by 7%, largely because of the reduction in mining, and also services industry decreased by 20%, largely because of reduction in hotels and restaurant operations and other services due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. So what do we do? What we're looking at now is we'll transition now to what are the investment and export sectors, and what do we look like pre-COVID-19? But opportunities are still there. So the consideration is how do we refocus, right? So agribusiness and agri-processing. This is an important space now, and we all know that the focus is shifting towards agribusiness and agri-processing. So we have an expansive local market, industry size of 1.7 billion, exports in 2018 of 329.9 million. So a significant amount, but a major potential of increase. We have crop production of 678,000 tons, contribute $1 billion to the GDP. One of the advantages, of course, is the country's proximity to key export markets in the Americas. right? And of course, not to forget the global demand of Jamaican products and authentic Jamaican products. That is an important value proposition as well. We have the usual products that are in demand: Scotch bonnet pepper, Jamaican ginger, pimento, cocoa, yam, and Blue Mountain coffee. We all know about the benefits and the demand from the traditional diaspora persons overseas, as well as persons who just have a strong affinity, appreciation for Jamaican products. Move on to outsourcing. Jamaica has significantly grown, as mentioned by CG Mayor, in this area. We have an industrial side of over 400 billion. So there are many opportunities for investment, even within the era of the pandemic now. We have over 60 companies locally, 80% of which are international. So there's an opportunity to actually create locally generated outsourcing companies. We have a cost-competitive labor pool, third largest English-speaking population in the Americas, and that is an advantage, particularly to offer the services to the North America and the English and the UK market in terms of the services, right? All right, so we move on some more. So we have a proven track record, in essence, in outsourcing space. We have a lot of major hitters in the outsourcing space: the Sutherland, the HGS, the IBEX Global. Those are major companies locally. Internationally, a local company that has done significantly well and even expanded outside of Jamaica's borders is ITEL BPO. You could have a look. They're doing significantly well as a homegrown local BPO company. Really good success stories. And we offer a range of activities: finance and accounting, customer service, debt collection, and you can see the additional information there. So we move on to another pillar in our industry: tourism. Tourism is going through a challenging time now, but we all know that tourism as a brand, Jamaica brand in tourism, there will be a resurgent. We know this, right? But to remind you that there's still an opportunity to look for investment space in the tourism, so that when there's a resurgent, you have occupied that space and you'll benefit from the resurgent. Tourist arrivals in 2019, 4.3 million. Visitor expenditure, 3.2 billion in 2018. So we have a really vibrant tourism infrastructure. Opportunities, many of the main opportunities now: health and wellness, tourism. There's a shifting towards looking at developing lifestyle and retirement villages, particularly for persons in the diaspora who want to come home, establishing those kind of facilities, high security, high health, proximity to hospitals, etc. So those are the opportunities that persons are actually looking forward to. All right. I know I'm going fast, but keep up with me, folks, okay? Film and animation. Jamaica, we're creative people. One of our most valuable resources are our people and the creativity of our people. So we have a vibrant film industry. The country has a highly skilled talent pool in areas of acting, cinematography, and script writing. So the idea of Jamaica as a film destination is still very attractive. 2019, we had 150 international films produced locally, creating 2,677 jobs. So there's always that consideration, or should always be that consideration, to have Jamaica as a destination for film. All right, logistics and infrastructure, again, a major sector for Jamaica. Kingston Terminal expanded to handle post-Panamax vessels, which means now we can handle larger vessels throughout in terms of other transshipment point. And there's more to speak to on the logistics and infrastructure space. All right, we're currently ranked 75th of 190 countries, so there's room for growth. There are many areas of improvements. I won't get into the details here now, okay? Connectivity capabilities, 12 major shipping lines, 400 international flights weekly. I mentioned this previously, 100 weekly port connections, 2.8 TEU, 2.8 million TEU, and 12,000 TEU ship handling capabilities. energy. This is a new, I wouldn't say new, but this is a sector that has been becoming a lot more popular recently in terms of the renewable and clean energy. The industry size currently is 383 million, which is significant. And I'll get into later in the presentation the release of the IRP and what that means for the clean energy opportunity as an investor. And we'll go through those details. What I'd like to highlight here is a success story by actually a Jamaican who lived overseas, returned to Jamaica, and the company here that you see as a recent investment, 8 Rivers, they were responsible for Paradise Park is a solar farm generating 370 megawatts utility of solar PV plant. Real success story. So it gives you the thought process that this can be done for persons, it can be done by persons in the diaspora. And when I get into the details of the IRP and what is being offered, I want you to frame the possibilities where that is concerned, right? Okay, so COVID-19 hit. What is the COVID refocus? How are we going to actually reshift our focus? So food security and reduction of the food import bill, that is important. Food import bill was at about $1 billion US, that's critical. To focus on improving agribusiness and manufacturing as it relates to drive exports, as it relates to consistency, resilience in that regard. Drive service expansion of the global digital services. This is outsourcing, so to upskill our local labor force, not just within the BPO space, but the knowledge process outsourcing space and IT outsourcing space, right? So that there's a global services sector project that JAMPRO is a critical part, plays a critical part of executing that will impact that activity significantly. Digitization of Jamaica in general. So we're talking about driving e-commerce, driving business processes, driving government services, the digitization of government services, which of course COVID-19 has really allowed us to transition and to speed and to leapfrog this development. And finally, increase clean energy generating capacity and reduction in distribution costs. Very, very critical. So we're moving on now to what are the major opportunities we want to look at, right? What are the major opportunities that we are presenting? So I'm going to slow down now so we can literally walk through these opportunities and you can digest them to say, okay, I'm interested in this area. I want to get more information. And remember, folks, all the information on these opportunities won't be presented here. Feel free to contact us after. We'll be able to provide additional information. So firstly, tourism opportunities are still there. We will be able to source lands, help you in terms of finding lands, but if in terms of finding loans for your investment or to support your investment, there's a tourism enhancement fund loan for small and medium-sized tourism enterprises. You can borrow up to 25 million via Exim Bank at 4.5% per annum. So a lot of persons in the diaspora have land available, and you may want to consider, okay, in 2 years' time, this is what I want to be doing. I want to enter the tourism space. So let me start the process now. So that's the mindset that we want to actually to seed at this point. Opportunities in clean energy. I referred to this earlier. The government recently released the Integrated Resource Plan. And what this is really the energy plan for the next couple of years leading up to 2025. Right, the objective is to achieve 50% renewables by 2013. In the releasing of the IRP, what's supposed to be coming out next is the request for proposal, which is estimated to be released in Q1 2021. This is an estimate now, right? And what that means is Cabinet has approved the procurement of generation capacity for 514 megawatts, and it's split into 3 different areas. 320 megawatts for wind and solar, 120 megawatts for liquid natural gas, and 74 megawatts for hydro biomass or waste energy. So these are the different investment areas that an RFP can be issued, can be tendered for. All right, so we're looking forward to ensure that when the RFP comes out, many persons in the diaspora are aware, and can actually enter the process to start doing that those kind of investments. There are opportunities outside of in terms of accessing financing. DBG offers venture capital. There's a venture capital program, offers ecosystem development. It creates a pool of funds that offers non-traditional financing options. Fund managers raise capital from investors, which is provided to entrepreneurs based on investment strategies. So ideally here, what I'm positioning here is there's an opportunity, yes, to invest in a business, but to also get in venture capital. So we have to think about plugging those holes. So you have investment funds, you've identified a partnership business, or you have a partnership business, here's some venture capital to plug more funds into your investment and to also expand, right? In terms of targeting, in terms of the MSMEs, there's also the DBD voucher. You can receive a business grant to access business support services, covers up to 70% of support service costs, up to 200,000. Digitization and innovation. If you've been following the press recently, again, I must commend the DBJ for all the work that they're doing to support the local commercial infrastructure. This most recent promotion or activation, Biggie, boosting innovation, growth, and entrepreneurship ecosystem, is one of the most recent initiatives where they aim at providing greater revenue streams for medium-sized enterprises, but it's focused on innovations. The details here you can apply through thinkbiggie.com. Now this has to do with if you have an innovative idea, you have a company, an established company, or you're in partnership with somebody in Jamaica as an established company, and you want to grow that company. So this is an opportunity here that DBJ is offering. Agribusiness opportunity. Now, where this is concerned now, JAMPRO plays a major role in terms of supporting identification of lands. We recently completed a Call for Lands initiative where we got a significant amount of persons responding to that initiative. And the idea is to repurpose arable lands and lease them out to potential investment projects for persons to then drive those projects forward as investment opportunities. What kind of investment projects? Farming projects, we're looking at agri-park, looking at greenhouse projects. And in addition to that, what we're also looking at is the larger type farm that allows for scalability and consistency and resilience of exports, but at the same time establishing mother farms that can support the smaller farms as well, right? We also look to the diaspora to identify importers of local products. So we have contact within the diaspora to help members to link with distribution networks overseas, right? So again, some more opportunities. Agricultural linkages, ready to. This is an activity, this is an initiative from Jamaica Social Investment Fund. It's really a US $40 million loan for micro and small farmers that can access grants of up to 400,000. It's called a Rural Economic Development Initiative. This is the second initiation actually. And you can apply for this initiative through JSIF, www.jsif.org. A very good initiative on the part of the Jamaica Social Investment Fund. So we want to move into stay on agriculture and have a look now at Jamaica's leading processed food and beverages exports. Now, as you can see, rum is far ahead, then sauces and beers and ackee, and then the list continues. So it gives us an idea of where we are now. But I want to also transition to show the opportunities that lie that we're not currently exploiting. Right. So I'll move to the next slide. So JAMPRO commissioned a study by Euromonitor, market assessment, and what was found was that roots and tubers, namely yams, sweet potatoes, cassavas, have a major untapped potential in USA, Canada, and the UK. So we're talking about $12+ million in those markets. Again, crustaceans rock lobster tails, frozen whole lobsters. Over the last 3 years, between 2015 and 2018, they had a 4% CAGR for global lobster demand. So the demand for lobsters, you know, we export lobster, frozen lobster, to as far as China currently. So the opportunities are there. So I have to start thinking along those lines. Fresh fruit, which is very popular among most persons, papayas, mangoes, oranges, and avocados. You'd have heard about the recent shipment to mangoes overseas. I know the mangoes overseas is in high demand, where JAMPRO is actively looking at ways to establish hot water treatment plants to ensure that the mangoes can get into the overseas markets based on the regulations that are required, right? So what are the top priority categories coming out of the Euro Monitor assessments? So we're looking at 6.1 million in untapped export potential for the focus categories I just mentioned. For the top priority categories, seafood industry with a focus on crustaceans. Roots and tubers categories are the largest growth opportunities to capitalize on, with potential pivot to sweet potatoes. Okay, so there's always the need to look at what are the fiscal incentive opportunities. I'll go through the omnibus fiscal incentives and the junior stock market incentives. The others won't necessarily apply. So quickly to close out, looking at they provide relief from customs import duties, additional stamp duties, and of course corporate income tax. And I'll go through quickly now. So there's tax relief for manufacturing or agricultural companies. There's a PRR benefits to avoid import cost and stamp duties, and there's a 50% discount on customs administrative fees. PIR is very important. It provides product input relief, so it is on machinery and capital equipment for greenhouses, raw materials, intermediate goods. So and this goes across many different sectors: the agricultural sector, the health sector, the tourism sector, and of course the creative industries. So look into those details, folks, if you're not fully aware. And finally, now, income tax on the junior stock market. Once your business is registered on the stock market or listed on the stock market, you get 100% exempt. You're exempted from 100% of corporate tax in the first 5 years from the date of admission. And you also get 50%, you're exempt from 50% of the corporate income tax in the following 5 years. So the benefits are there. So not only after you've established, so I'm giving you the full journey, establishing your investment and then listing on the stock exchange, what are the benefits and then the growth from there. So at that point, I'll close out and hand over to, but before I hand over, I have two polls to do. The first poll, I'll ask our administrator to pull up on screen so we can get a quick response on what the areas of focus are for persons that are part of the webinar. And we'll have a quick wait to see what the responses are. So we have a significant interest in, let's give it a few seconds here to get some amount of response. So, okay, so we're seeing fairly good numbers for investment, 43% for investment and 43% for both. So there's a large interest in investments and of course exports as well. So encouraging information. As I move on, at this point, I'll conclude. Thank you for the time, and I'll hand you over to Mr. Harold Davis, CEO for Jamaica Business Development Corporation, who will walk you through the opportunities for SMEs and his presentation. Thank you very much, folks. Over to you, Harold. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Thank you very much, Gabriel. And CG Mayor, good to see you. I know that you're doing a fantastic job. Dr. Cunningham, we're just meeting you, but it's great to meet you as well. I'm going to share my screen. So this evening, we're going to walk you through, first of all, what JBDC is about. Many persons don't know what the Jamaica Business Development Corporation is. We're going to speak to you about how we do what we do, the products and services that we offer, a little bit about our program, JBDC program, our client management process, how we do what we do, looking at our COVID strategies, and then we're going to be discussing some local business opportunities. But before I go into that, I want to give you a general background because many persons on the call may not be as familiar with the Jamaica Business Development Corporation. We are an agency under the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Investment and Commerce, because it has recently changed. We have been around for 19 years. Our main job is to provide business development services to the micro, small, and medium-sized businesses. That means that we offer a suite of business services that will help you, first of all, develop a proper business. We guide you through that from ideation into perhaps structuring your business in an appropriate way, to growing your business and all that of what it requires to grow in a sustainably strong kind of way. To if it is that you're exploring new markets or exploring new opportunities, exploring a new business model, our team is equipped to guide you with that. So our strategic imperative are three-pronged. First of all is enterprise development. At the core of what it is that we do, we help MSMEs develop their business into strong, sustainable, viable entities that are international and ready for international trade, if that is what they desire. Another strategic imperative of ours is the nurturing of the ecosystem for MSMEs. Gabriel spoke a little bit about that, but certainly that task is still ripe for us. We have to make sure that the ecosystem, as a friend of mine would say, is singing off the same hymn sheet and going in the same direction. And the support services in the ecosystem are complementary and cohesive, such that at the end of the day, we end up with a robust MSME and a business economy. For the country. And of course, our third strategic imperative, and I want to share this with you because it's very important for us, is about our continued internal investment in our staff, in our partners, and so on. Because as far as we are concerned, we operate with a Kaizen kind of mindset, constantly improving. There's nobody who comes to us who thinks who knows everything at all. We are constantly learning because our task is to really make sure that at the end of the day, we are offering the best type of support to our clients. I want to introduce my colleague, who is Melissa Bennett at this time. Melissa is the manager for our business advisory services and the sole female on our panel. I thought we needed some good female presence on our panel as well. Gentlemen, you'll excuse me for that. But she is the person who is at the helm of our business development strategy, and I wanted to introduce her and have her share with you some of the items that I mentioned before. Melissa, it's over to you.
Okay, good night everyone, panelists and attendees. Okay, so Mr. Davis gave an overview or background on JBDC, and I want to focus on the strategy that we're pursuing now, which is an holistic and integrated approach to supporting entrepreneurship from concept to market. So JAMPRO is our scaling partner, and we are building businesses to transition into the external market, export marketplace. So in terms of our internal team, clients enter JBDC through the business advisory unit, which is the unit that I currently manage. But we have a project management and a research development unit that focuses on mining information through client relations as well as from the market space. We also have an incubator and resource center, which has technical expertise in engineering, specific industries such as craft, food, We also have a marketing services department that focuses on marketing consultation as well as access to market, primarily through our Things Jamaican shops, if you're aware of that, and our recently revamped Things Jamaican shopping space, which has an e-commerce platform that supports businesses. We are building out a financing services program. We provided financing in the past, and based on the fact that we support MSMEs, a lot of innovation takes place at the micro sector to support new opportunities, and we're seeing a gap in that space. So we're looking to build out new opportunities in the financing area for innovation and things of that nature. The business advisory unit focuses on counseling, research, training, hand-holding, referrals to partner. We have a very strong network. So probably you can move the slide so I can. Yeah, so we in terms of products and services, we focus on research, we focus on training, we host a lot of thought leader events to keep the marketplace engaged in terms of new opportunities and things that are unfolding. And we partner a lot with the ecosystem, as Mr. Davis spoke about, facilitating relationships across government, private sector, academia. That's the core of how we operate. We, as I spoke about, the access to market through our Things Jamaican store. So most of our entrepreneurs are able to test and validate through our market access opportunities. We have a shared facility at the Incubator and Resource Center in Kingston, and we're looking to expand this space where entrepreneurs are able to engage in production as well as having think tanks and co-working spaces that will support how entrepreneurs move along the continuum of growth. In terms of not being able to access finance directly through JBDC, we work a lot through partners. So we have partner equity investors, we have partner banking relationships. We work a lot with the Jamaica Stock Exchange. We have worked with clients to help them prepare to go onto the Junior Stock Exchange. We're now looking to strengthen our relationship with the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange and all the funding partners and new products that are being developed in the ecosystem. We are working to help entrepreneurs be able to access it. I'm most excited about our access to information through partners. So we work a lot with mentors and coaches across private and public sector to create advisory panels and interim boards for businesses so that they're able to build their capacity in how to engage and negotiate and build stronger entities. JBDC operates through a pool of programs from formalization all the way to scale up community. The intent is that we understand from our experience that one size does not fit all. And so we are working with the entrepreneur based on where they are in the process. So when we talk about formalization, it's about building mindset and following the regulations that support building a strong entity. So we work a lot with the entrepreneurs in terms of how to develop the right mindset to start and grow a business. In terms of the nursery program, which is the next phase, because it is a graduated program, the entrepreneur focuses on market validation. You have now identified a minimum viable product and you want to be able to test it, and we use avenues such as our Things Jamaican store to help with that validation, and we also work through partners in terms of giving entrepreneurs a chance to be able to get access to spaces to demonstrate whether or not there's interest, because products are created from a problem and not based on persons just created out of a vacuum. So we look for opportunities to give entrepreneurs a chance to be able to see whether or not what they're offering is valuable. We also, through the incubator, we have an incubator facility as well as an incubator program that focuses on performance improvement. So you have now validated, we want to build your customer acquisition, retention, and growth strategies. So the entrepreneur is provided with specialized support in this area, as well as business process improvement. So the engineers and the teams at the IRC work with clients to document process and look for ways to improve. So building out their supply chains and making sure that the value chain that is required is starting to be stimulated. Then we look into leadership and governance. So we have an accelerator program. We have had 3 cohorts so far that focuses on preparing a pitch deck to present to investors and looking at the strategic plans for growth. There's a lot of emphasis on leadership and governance, because the aim is that if somebody can successfully access finance from an equity investor, then you'd want that equity to be able to cash out through the stock exchange and other mediums of similar nature. So you want the entrepreneurs who are journeying with us from formalization, when they get to accelerator stage, to be able to understand the concepts that will be needed in the negotiation as well as the growth activities that takes place after an investment is made. We also currently pushing the scale-up community, and the Export Max opportunity that we are a part of is significantly helping that process. We facilitate market access through our e-commerce platform, but now we're looking with the strong partnership that we're having with JAMPRO to build out a strong internationalization program. And we work a lot with mentors in this. And for the diaspora, this is, for me, an exciting space for how the international market can help the entrepreneurs. Mr. Davis?
Yeah. Before you continue, Melissa, I want to emphasize that I didn't mention at the front that we serve upwards of 4,000 clients on an annual basis. So we do a lot of, lots of clients that are at different stages of their development. Go ahead, Melissa.
Okay, so as I had said before, it's a graduated program. So the client enters and they're assessed. Based on their assessment, then they're placed in the program that is suited for the stage at which they're at. We do a lot of referrals, training, and research and events, as previously pointed out. And we have a strong online platform, Neosera, that is out. It's a model that is linked to the US SBDC model, which looks at partnerships between academia, private sector and government. So we are building out a network of similar nature. We have already secured relationships with several universities, but the benefit of the Neosera platform is allows for us to measure the successes of the entrepreneur and the impact that they're having on their own businesses as well as the economy. So once this program or product is strengthened even more, we'll be able to report how clients are significantly growing from formalization all the way to the scale-up space. So after assessment, a client is provided with a development plan and is supported through implementation. There's monitoring and there's continuous reassessment and graduation. And I added alumni, because one of the things that we have discovered from delivering this program is that a lot of entrepreneurs give back to the network and give back to other younger businesses that are coming up in the process. In this period of COVID, there are a lot of things that we have to be instituting. We were not as virtual and online as prior to COVID, but this is a great opportunity. We are transitioning our programs into an online space that will now make building relationships with the diaspora even easier in terms of engagement. So we have been hosting numerous webinars in different forms, targeting specific sectors such as the creative sector, the craft sector, the digital transformation that is required in this time. We have been exposing the entrepreneurs too, and we have been using the specialized expertise of our partners in our different programs to support. We have our e-commerce platform that we have given even a greater push because of what is happening in the space. This is an excellent opportunity to penetrate the market when you can't travel. So we have been pushing that, and we have been advocating for additional funding in the form of cash to be able to give grants to the entrepreneurs that are successfully going through programs or need support to demonstrate the value of the products that they're putting in place. Market research is a major area of weakness for entrepreneurs, and we're pushing them to understand the market space that they're going into. And with the relationship that we are strengthening with JAMPRO, we expect that a lot of them will create more meaningful products that fit into the pipeline that will lead to stronger relationships in the export market space and the diaspora. We do a lot of specialized projects for our clients based on the opportunities that we see of putting them together. For an example of such is our Jamaica Harvest product, which is a value chain development product where we are able to create new products based on inputs from multiple small business enterprises. We're doing that for agro-processing, we're doing that for oils, we're doing that for spa products, and we're looking into new opportunities to build out value chains based on putting smaller business into a bigger model. So we also, as I spoke about earlier, strengthening our SBDC network. We already have 8 external partners, and we're looking to add a few more into that pool. So local opportunities, I know from JAMPRO space, they spoke a lot about the industries, so I won't delve into the industries again. I'm speaking primarily to the spending power that the diaspora have in terms of going onto our e-commerce platform to see the products that are being placed there, so that the entrepreneurs, based on your purchase and your responses in terms of the engagement that the platform does with you, you're able to give feedback to entrepreneurs on the value of what the products that they're pursuing, and also to refer non-diaspora people into accessing Jamaican products. We're looking at building out trade facilitation linkages, because there are avenues for entrepreneurs to be able to access space with already businesses that you already have in these international markets. As I said before, we're looking for more insights from you based on the products that we put into the international market. Definitely investment is big for us. We're looking to go into the crowdfunding space and using up the, as I spoke about, the JSSE, Jamaica Social Stock Exchange space. And we're looking to do a lot more sponsored competitions to support clients that are completing the program. We already look for grant opportunities, and so if it is that you want to provide grants to our entrepreneurs, loans, equity, be a part of our pitch group. We have persons in the international market that have shown an interest, and I think I saw him earlier on. We would like more persons to join into programs like this to be able to support clients when they are ready to access funding for growth. Mentorship, specialized areas of expertise. We have local specialists, but I'm sure in terms of the diaspora, there's so much value in terms of skill set that can be provided to the entrepreneurs. So we're looking to build out a mentorship program that includes diaspora participating to support businesses in the form of providing access to information based on your embedded knowledge. As I spoke about special projects, we're looking to create new projects that you can partner in and drive in the industries that will have deeper economic impact. We do a lot of thought leader events, so there are opportunities for you, for diaspora, to participate in the training, the think tanks, the presentations. And for me, in this time of, or not me, JBDC in general, innovation and startup is going to be big, and innovation is not just a micro consideration, it's innovation that can be fed into bigger businesses that are being disrupted based on new models that are being designed by smaller businesses. So we're looking to create linkages, and we're looking for financing support to drive startup and innovation. There's a very active group of young entrepreneurs that need support to drive new ventures that they're creating. So we have so many success stories. This part I was like kind of confused in terms of who to put on the table. So from our batch of accelerator programs, we have had clients who have been able to pitch. One of the weaknesses of entrepreneurs in the market space is ability to negotiate and complete the transaction based on based on lack of strong teams. You have a lot of persons working individually. So the aim for us, so for example, Resolve It has a team, but through the accelerator program, he has been able to expand his team to include other specialized persons that have been working with him to help negotiate deals that he's taken advantage of. He's in the IT industry, and he has taken on a lot of regional projects so far in terms of expansion, and he's looking to go into the US market as well, because based on his participation in global events, he's seen where the quality of what he provides is very similar, and in some cases better than what is in the external international markets. So he's looking for opportunities to delve into new partnerships and build out relationships there. We also had Newtown Bakery, which is a small bakery company in Jamaica that was a part of the accelerator program. At the time, they were only producing for the local market, and since then they have expanded in the local market as well as in the regional market in terms of their penetration, and they're looking to expand even more. Rocksteady Coffee is a Jamaican grown Blue Mountain coffee, but he's out of Canada, so he comes to Jamaica a lot. But we supported him when he came into the Jamaican market to help him to understand the business ecosystem, sort out his financial construct, access grant funding, access equity funding based on the support of the grant funding, helping to strengthen his base. He has been able to expand into niche stores in Canada in terms of his coffee product, and he has been doing well, and he's creating employment for the local space. So he's he's from the diaspora, starting his business and working through the local partners to push it forward. So there are so many of them. We have persons in the medical area, bioregeneration. She had multiple interests when she presented her medical products that focus on stem cell therapy and IV vitamin products that she has designed. So there are a lot of opportunities that are in the space. We have a True Stories magazine that has a bunch of clients. You can visit the Things Jamaican store. We have over almost 1,000 producers that are on the space. And if you want to hear more about clients, you can engage us. You can call us directly, and we seek and find opportunities for you to partner and engage and support the local MSME sector.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. And just to close off, I just want to emphasize a couple of things that Melissa said. Firstly, is that there are significant opportunities for partnership with the businesses that we are working with. There's significant opportunity for working with them. Many of them are very open to different forms of partnerships, equity partners and other types of partnerships as well. I think it's very important that if persons are thinking about coming to Jamaica to start businesses, many persons are thinking of starting small or medium and then growing. JBDC offers you the base for support to develop that business, to make the correct connections that you need to make within the ecosystem itself. As we close, what you're looking at is the thingsjamaicanshopping.com, which is our revamped e-commerce site that has some 150 businesses, products, and growing, because there is a significant demand for businesses to come onto the site. The site is relaunched, as I said earlier this year, just in time for COVID. We had no idea that COVID was going to happen, but so it did, and the site is there. So I invite you as I close, and Melissa and I close, to have a look at the Things Jamaican shopping site, because within the site itself, there are opportunities, there are business opportunities for us to be partnering with many of the success stories that are in fact featured on the site itself. And of course, it's an excellent place to turn up your nostalgic meter, right? Because as you're seeing, there are excellent products that are it. And all of these products, the clients of these products obviously are clients of JBDC, and we have worked with them for in terms of their business development, their product development, their branding development, and so on. So this provides an excellent idea as to what it is that we can do in partnership with yourselves and, of course, JAMPRO. Thank you very much, and that is our time.
Thank you very much, Harold and Melissa. That was indeed a very engaging and detailed presentation about the opportunities for startup and medium-sized enterprises in Jamaica. And it's encouraging for persons in the diaspora to seek out those partnerships, to seek out those possibilities. So what we've given is the gamut of opportunities in Jamaica. So if you want looking for a large investment in agriculture, in agri-processing, and agribusiness, you can look towards that. If you're looking for a small startup, for example, a medium-sized entity in terms of manufacturing and production, you can go to JBDC. So that is really the concept of this webinar here. We wanted to have a one-stop shop for the diaspora interested in investing and doing business in Jamaica. And I think we've achieved that here today. At this point, I want to move on to the next poll. And the next poll really kind of, I want to give an idea on what sectors of interest persons on the webinar today, where their focus is. Now, I'll just give it a couple seconds to load, and then I'll share once we have a good number share. But while the poll actually share, the next step is our Q&A. And I'm going to ask our attendees to give us an extra 50 minutes. We're kind of going beyond time here, but there's an extra 50 minutes as we go through our Q&A so we can address some of your questions, which I'm sure the Q&A section was very active, to say the least. I don't know if we'll be able to get through all the questions, but rest assured, what we generally do at JAMPRO, when we have a webinar, we go through painstakingly and we answer each individual question over time. If the question is relative to JBDC, we'll be passing those on to Harold and Melissa so they can address in detail. Right? Again, before we move on to the Q&A, I think we're almost finished here. Right, we're almost finished here. I'll share the poll soon. Right, so the objective now, what we want to look at is how do we move forward? What are the opportunities that persons are interested in that JAMPRO can facilitate investments, that JBDC can facilitate the startups, and what are the business partnerships, the investment partnerships that we can facilitate through highlighting the opportunities. All right, so let me see if we can share the polling now. I think we're end. Just give me a second, folks. I'm a little bit technically challenged at times, so you have to bear with me. And polling. Okay, share results. So there are results. So as we can see, there is a major interest in agribusiness, as we anticipated with the shift. There's a strong interest in tourism as well, as it is a major pillar of our economy and will continue to be. Manufacturing also has strong interest. So I'm encouraged by the polling results. It seems to be a fair representation of the sectors and the range of opportunities within the sectors. I'm happy to see that agribusiness is in alignment with the strategy both of Jamaica in general and JAMPRO as well, in terms of where we need to be going for food security, resilience, reduction of our food import bill, ramping up the manufacturing sector. So I'm very pleased to see that result. So without further ado, what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to try and pull up a few questions here from the Q&A section, and as best as possible, try to answer the questions where possible. So we have a question here okay, are there opportunities for investment within the cannabis market? This is from Carol Gray. Thanks for your question, Carol. What is required to build infrastructure to support growing R&D and critical trials and outsourcing to global markets? As you know, We have the authority locally for you to apply for your license. And I think there are over 60 companies now that have actually attained their cannabis license. For this type of question, it is very, very detailed. I would encourage, what we will do, we'll be sure to respond to you via email, because there's a process of approval. There are a number of steps that you take in terms of production, growing, R&D, so you have to get approval along each stage from the authority. Harold, you sound like you almost want to jump in here.
No, I was just agreeing with you that it is a very detailed process, for good reason, obviously.
For good reason, yes.
Yeah, man. So I think if perhaps, Gabriel, if many persons are interested in this particular question, if many persons share this this query, maybe we could organize a 1-page or a 2-pager that we could send out after, in terms of the steps and the details.
Absolutely, absolutely. So gentle folks, as I mentioned, we'll be able to provide details of these kind of questions after the webinar. I'm seeing here, okay, this is for you, Harold. What funding opportunities are there, if any, for small businesses that have been in business for less than 7 years? I see that Think Big G grant requires you to have been in business for at least 7 years.
Yes. Well, Big E is about to roll out a number of such programs. This is just the first one that they have rolled out, and this particular one is focused on medium-sized enterprises. Previous to the Big E, the rollout of the Big E program, DBJ had a program called Ignite, which focused on small and micro and small businesses, and it was an innovation grant for micro and small businesses, and that Ignite ran through 2 phases. But I'm assured by DBJ that they will roll out products that are specifically for micro and small businesses who have been in business for less than 7 years. Like I said, this one is just focused on the medium-sized businesses. But apart from that, as Melissa had mentioned, there are many opportunities in this space for investment and partnership, financial partnership as well. I believe, again, I would encourage you to reach out to us as well. Let's talk about the specific area of your business, and we will talk about the specific type of financial product that will match it, because not all sizes are appropriate, or not all products are appropriate for all types of businesses. So I hope that answers your question. Big E is going to be rolling out a number of other products. This one was just focused on the medium-sized enterprises.
And there are other entities such as Cedar Caribbean Development Bank that has calls multiple times in a period. So once you're with us, you're able to be aware. We make you aware of when there are calls in the market that you're able to take advantage of. Just get our proposals ready.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Gentle folks. So we have a question here. 50% renewable energy goal looks really impressive. And this is from Paul McFarlane. Has JAMPRO provided examples of other countries that have achieved this successfully, meaning the lower electricity prices? All right. So we know in Jamaica we have a challenge. Our challenge is not necessarily only on energy generating capacity, but is a distribution cost that we have a challenge with. And the government has plans to try and address this. It's not necessarily within JAMPRO's remit. Our focus is on trying to get investors in to enable generation capacity. So once there is a reduction in distribution cost, we stand to benefit significantly. We have confidence that, I know that over time, this has been a challenge for Jamaica as a country, but I think we're moving into a more digitized space. We'll be able to manage and monitor the distribution cost. And I'm sure we all know what we're talking about here as it relates to the utilization of electricity across the island to ensure that the cost is reduced significantly. So the focus is on generating capacity through clean energy, whether it be solar, wind, because once there's an increase in generating capacity, and then a corresponding reduction in distribution cost. What that will mean is an increase in productivity, a reduction in manufacturing costs, and all of those inputs will have a compounding impact on exports, on manufacturing, on margins gained. So your investment opportunities and your business opportunities will automatically improve. I hope to provide more information in terms of examples of other countries at this point. I can't, but what we will try and do is research the question a little bit further and provide you with a response as it relates to other countries and if this has been achieved successfully. Let me get to another question. In terms of partnership opportunities, how can we network with JBDC clients to understand their needs? I'll pass it over to you guys.
Right, absolutely. Thanks for that question. Melissa alluded to it. I think there are significant opportunities there. And as Melissa mentioned, still we have a gamut of clients. We have a wide gamut of clients, from those who are at the ideation stage to those who are medium-sized enterprises that have been in business for a while. I think the easiest route is to reach out directly to us and let us understand a little bit more about your interests, your specific interests, and what do you have a particular passion for, what areas you want to invest in. And let's us see if we can broker an appropriate partnership with the clients. And like I said, the partnerships come in many forms. Yeah? There are equity-based partnerships. There are partnerships at the startup phase where you're probably assisting, probably even in the first instance, of providing some mentorship and guidance. We have had mentors who have become investors in businesses and so on. So there's a path, that path as well that you can look at. There is also the establishing of joint venture kind of partnerships with entities here, if you already have an entity there, you know. So there are many type of opportunities, but I would want to answer carte blanche like that. I would want to get a little more specific as to your particular interests. What are your passions? What is your appetite for investment, and then we'll match you with appropriate clients in our database. And we always have clients who are looking for partnerships.
Okay, thanks for that response, Harold. Yeah. I'm seeing another question here is in the agricultural sector, there are usually certain customs and added restrictions when importing such products into a country. Is there any assistance provided in navigating the red tape and requirements in relation to importing agriculture products from Jamaica to other countries? Okay, so I'll take this one, Harold. Cool. A major part of JAMPRO's service offering in terms of export services is the business facilitation and the hand-holding that we provide both the exporter and the buyer. As it relates to local produce. We actually have regional offices located in New York, Toronto, and the United Kingdom that facilitate that process as well. So we go through and we provide the necessary information to navigate that red tape, both because we are the official exporter. Export registration comes through JAMPRO, so that's the first step. And then, of course, there are global regulations that we are very privy to in our engagement with Bureau Standard and in our engagement with the registration, with the regulations overseas. So we will walk you through that process. So feel free to contact us and we will reach out to you after this webinar to assist where possible. That is what we do. That is what we offer our exporters. That's what we offer our buyers overseas. At this moment, we're at 80 minutes after the hour, so we're well over that mark. I thought this was a very, very engaging session. I want to thank first and foremost our panelists and Mr. Harold Davis, Miss Melissa Bennett, the illustrious C.G. Oliver Mayer, of course, who, you know, he continues to represent Jamaica so well and the connection with the diaspora so well for the Southeast. And let's not forget Dr. Alan Cunningham, who was able at the last minute to join us to bring wonderful messages from the diaspora, let me make sure I get it right, the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. right? And I thought today was this event was a very good event. And in closing, I'd like us to picture the vision that we have and we want for Jamaica, in the sense that yes, we're going through a pandemic. Yes, things are difficult now. And in my mind, we have a kind of a re-pivoting or a restructuring of how we focus. Tourism was our main pillar. So we're now focusing on manufacturing, agribusiness, BPO. We're still holding to tourism with two hands, because we know that without tourism, you know, we have major problems, you know, as an investment destination. But just try and understand the digitization of the globe, and then Jamaica as a manufacturing and an export entity accessing e-commerce as a global brand, how that will drive local manufacturing and production, if we can authenticate those brands to the discerning global customer. So 2 years from now, with this shift, with this focus on agribusiness, exports, manufacturing, digitization globally, the e-commerce driving. So imagine that happening, and then tourism resurging. It puts Jamaica on a platform for significant, you know, as a major, as you said, the place to live and do business, you know, and the envy of the world. And that is my vision, and that is, I'm hoping, is all our vision. So whether you want to invest, trade, in a startup, invest in a current business, a medium-sized business, I welcome you to contact JAMPRO, welcome you to contact JBDC as we move forward to improve the business and the commercial opportunities for our country. Again, thank you all for your time. Thank you all for your efforts in submitting the questions as we drive to recover, for this recovery period, and to just really rise with the tide. I love that term, rise with the tide, and trying to focus on recovering Jamaica. Thank you very much, folks. Before I go, thanks again to our panelists and for our invited guests for speaking. Have a wonderful evening, you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.